Are you a part of a relationship where you struggle speaking about your finances? I'm Jackie Porter, and I've worked with a number of clients over the last 22 years, and I've found that talking about money with your partner is a big sore spot for many people. Some of the things that I've seen come up is just because you might not have shared values about money, because you might not have spoken about your money values, how you approach money when you started your relationship, maybe not until after the honeymoon. No, for some people, the honeymoon's over after you talk about money. This is really a conversation I want to have with my team this month for our timely tips. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about all the things you need to know when you're getting into a relationship with someone, how you need to be talking about money, what you should be doing in terms of having ongoing conversations about money, and how to build a money plan that includes everyone's goals, yours, your partner's, and the shared goals. So stay tuned. So Sharon.
Hey Jackie.
You're back.
We're ready to talk money.
Talking money again. Welcome back, our office mom.
That's right.
And now we're talking about money and how hard it is to talk about money when you're a part of a couple.
That's the tricky one.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure you've been there. Lots of people in our community have been there. It's a really thorny subject, talking about money. And I just wanted to get your perspective because you're also talking to people again who are coming into the practice, and just wondered what were some of the things that came up for them when they decided that they wanted to meet with me. I think some of the things you've mentioned to me had to do with wanting to bring their partner on board on why planning is important. So I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of times where people are, it's either the male or the female, the husband or the wife, a partner. They want to talk about the money. They want to get their finances in order, and they think they've got a different perspective that their spouse might have. And so they would love to have someone like yourself to sit there in the middle and say, let's talk about all of the big picture. And maybe sometimes you throw some ideas out there that they hadn't considered or the other partner hadn't considered. That's a big one.
I'm sure it is. And I think what I hear from clients when they actually sit down with me is now they have some things that have been on their mind for a while. And often it's hard to confront a person you're in your relationship.
You're too close to it.
You're too close to it. And it could be debt. It could be, we're worried about the debt. We need to get rid of the debt. And it might be a little bit different if there's a third party involved who's independent of their circumstances, who isn't emotionally connected to their circumstances, talking to the couple about what are strategies they can use to pay down their debt. We're not going to play the blame game, but we can cover, what's happening in the relationship. What are some of the issues that you want to talk about with your spouse that you might be shy to talk about if it's just you and them?
And a lot of times, maybe you start in the relationship, you both have goals and values and things you want to do with your money. You're making good money, or you're not, you're just starting out. But then kids come in the picture, parents maybe come move in with you, things change. Your vision of where your money is going to go down the road changes. You might want to scale back on one job who's a heavy money maker, and then you haven't quite broached that with your partner. Well, that's you get to open the book on
that's a hard one too, right? Honey, I actually want to leave the job I have, maybe start a business, and how are we going to pay our bills in the meantime?
Can we do that? Sure.
Can we do that? And these are really, we're talking about them fairly in a light fashion, but these are weighty financial subjects for couples to discuss.
Absolutely.
Because it brings up, money brings up a lot of fears for people. A lot of the childhood issues come in. And so now all of a sudden, if you are the person who is the breadwinner and you're saying, I want to take off from my job, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to try something new, especially let's throw kids in there. This could be a fairly thorny subject to talk about at at home, just between the two of you. It might be much easier to say, if this is something we're going to do, how would we do it? And I think as a financial planner, the really important question that I like to solve is the how. How are we doing it? What's the financial strategy that we can employ?
And you've seen so many other scenarios. You've got new scenarios to throw into the pot that they may never have thought about. And it's a good one. It can work for them.
Yeah, and it just means we can have that really sensitive discussion in a fairly dispassionate way, and we can talk about strategies. And I think
like a money coach.
Exactly. I love that idea, like a money coach. A money coach for couples, for singles. Exactly. I think this is going to be a really great discussion for the community.
I think so.
Thank you so much for coming out today.
My pleasure. I hope there's lots of good insights for that.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
take care.
So Nancy, our client advocate, welcome back.
Hi, Jackie.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Community's happy to see you here.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
So, let's talk about the deal before the deal. The reality is most people get married and they actually know nothing about a person's finances, potentially until after the honeymoon.
That's true, which can lead to a lot of problems in the future.
I would say so. I don't know how well things might go even in the bedroom after you find out your partner has bad credit. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's true.
the reality is we really need to have some of these conversations ahead of time, have a game plan as to how we're going to talk to our partner about our finances. And I just wanted to get some of your insights, what you've seen in terms of working with clients, what you've seen in your friends' scenarios, your own relationships. I'd love to hear your perspective on this.
Sure. The reality is that there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations and topics that young couples have to have, like sex or debt or family dynamics, religion. But finances should be on top of that list.
Absolutely.
With divorce rates skyrocketing in the last 40 years, millennials, younger people are becoming much more savvy with their finances. These young people are working, going to school longer and working longer, and now typically are coming into marriages with some assets.
Yes, but later in life.
Yeah.
People are getting married later, having kids later.
That's right. So, the newest age, if you will, is prenups. And more people are doing that. Jackie's got a big network of lawyers, and they talk about that the majority of prenups now are done by millennials.
Yes. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it's it's an important conversation. It's likely that you may face some resistance. And at that point, you discuss with your other half to perhaps see a financial counselor, an advisor, or a money coach again. To get this discussion open.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, it's another conversation that's uncomfortable that you might feel like you're now confronting the person, and it can become very heated because you're saying, listen, I'm walking into this relationship with some assets. Prior to us signing on the bottom line, I want to protect what I have. And that can bring all kinds of different things into a relationship, right? It brings fear, it brings resentment, it could bring these issues in that people aren't intending to bring. So it's always nice if you can partner with people that you can say, listen, my financial advisor and I want to meet with you to discuss our financial goals. And one of them is talking about the importance of both parties coming into the relationship with a prenup. And so it's not about you, it's about, at this stage in life, it's about protecting what you have, because the truth is, and particularly for women, we live longer, we're more often the recipient of GIS, Guaranteed Income Supplement benefits, which are the lowest. That means you have the lowest income possible. And because of those things, we really have to do our best to protect our finances, which means we need to have these money conversations. So
That's right.
Thank you so much for bringing this to light. Prenups, postnups, let's make them a part of regular conversation, folks. Thanks again.
Thanks, Jackie.
So Nydia, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Welcome to the community. We are talking this month about couples, talking about their finances, what gets in the way, what makes it difficult. And we were having a really great conversation the other day about the ongoing conversations that need to happen in a relationship. And I really loved your approach. And I thought it would be great if you shared with your community how you approach finances with your partner. I also thought it would be good to talk about some documents, because you are our documents person at the office, being the busy bee. What people need to know if they're having relationship trouble, how we have to deal with their money and protecting their money, because we're the fiduciary. We always have to act on the client's behalf. So that means if something happens where we sense a marital breakdown, there's certain things we have to do to protect the other person. So let's start off though with talking about, your approach to dealing with your finances with your partner and having those ongoing conversations with your partner about money. What's your approach?
So we actually run a budget When we first got together, we kind of tried to keep things separately, which he found really annoying because I'd be like, okay, I did grocery shopping, it cost $50. And he's like, okay, here's 25. And so eventually we went from everything separate to amalgamating it into one bank account. And then we found that we weren't keeping on top of things, and we'd start to run out of money. So I brought up I broached the topic of, how about we get a budget together? And so, he agreed. I'm kind of like the dictatorship, and he's the person who kind of just
that doesn't surprise me.
Goes along with things. And okay, let's try that. If this doesn't work, maybe we'll try that. So I did up a whole budget thing. I ran it by him. Every once I keep track of all the expenses that we do, and then sometimes I go back to him and say, okay, so this is where we're at the budget. This is how much we're spending. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's working? Do you think we need to change stuff? So we kind of like go back and forth, and I present things to him. So I run the everyday, and then I just go through it with him every once in a while.
Yeah, so you're keeping him informed,
Right.
because community, this only works if you have a relationship where you feel really confident about managing the finances, having the other person manage the finances, and sometimes there's always one person who is the prime, and you're sharing that information so he can see very easily what is happening in the bank account.
Right.
Typically, I have to say I recommend that people have what I call the 3 bank accounts. The U bank account, so you have your money. You also have the We bank account, which is the joint account where all the bills should go through.
Right.
And the Me bank account, which is what are the things I want to do. So what you're doing, your specific goals, the We are things that we're doing together, and the Me, the things I'm doing. That could be my retirement, saving for maybe something that might be from a previous marriage, maybe my child's education, and if we're in a second marriage situation. So this is why these things are really important conversations to have, because there's no one size fits all, but the key is having that ongoing communication.
Right, exactly.
The other piece I was going to address was really what happens when we go through a scenario where we have to get people's permission when we set up a financial account. So we set up an investment account for our clients. How do we deal with the paperwork to give access to the other party? So I'm a part of a couple. We both come in, set up different investment accounts. Can I see my partner's information online? How do I get permission to do that?
So technically, no, you cannot see your partner's account online. You do have to have separate emails that are set up so that when we send out the password and a username so you can view your account online, it goes into your own email so that you can access it. Now, if you did want to give permission to your partner to see the account online, basically you would have to give your partner the password so that they can access the account.
So it's really that's the only way they can do it.
That's right.
And then the other part of it is if we sense, like say we learned that the relationship is going through a marital breakdown, if you call in to ask us for permission, because first of all we'd have to have something on your file that says we can give access to the partner's account to the other partner. So that has to be on file with us. But then the other piece of it is even if that's the case and we sense there's a marital breakdown, we're not able to provide information about your partner's account anymore. So just an FYI. So thank you, Nydia, for talking to us about conversations that we need to have with our partner about money, your approach, and why I think in particular women and men over the age of 40 going into a relationship again need to have a you, me, and we account.
That's right.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So we know that as a couple, talking about money is a huge source of stress. It's also some of the things that get into the way of people dealing with their finances. So I really hope this video was useful in showing you the importance of talking to your spouse, your partner about money, about your shared goals, about your individual goals, why it's important to, when entering in a second marriage into another relationship, why it's important to consider a prenup or a postnup to protect your finances, because the cost of this, in particular for women, we really can't afford. Finally, I think it's important to look at ways to work with your partner on your finances that build the relationship, that build the things that made your marriage vows so exciting to you. Money, if it's addressed, just means that you have another part of your relationship sorted. And so I highly encourage you at the end of this video to check out our link, What's Your Financial IQ? If you're ready to have a money conversation with someone, a person from my team about your finances, if you want to talk with us as a couple about your shared goals, your individual goals, we're really happy to sit down and facilitate that conversation for you. I'm fairly dispassionate when I talk to clients about their money. I recognize I need to be, because both partners in a relationship are very emotionally invested based on family history, based on their values. And really my role, I see when I work with clients, is to be their financial confidant and help them to find ways to build their relationship and also build their financial fortress as a couple and as well as an individual. So thank you so much for listening to this video. Hope you found it useful. We'd love your feedback on it. We'd also love to know what you'd love to see in a future video. Thanks again.